I've been thinking quite a lot about my formative years lately, and the environment that I grew up in, and the peers that I surrounded myself with. There's something about growing up in a small town at the bottom of the world, in little old Invercargill, that really shapes your perspective of the future and the limitations that exist, the opportunities that are there, and the social expectations of what you had to do as soon as you graduate high school. It's almost like during high school you're presented with two distinct pathways that you can choose to travel on. You can start an apprenticeship and get your hands dirty within an industry and work your way up that way, or you can go to Canterbury University or Otago University and pursue higher education and hope that, you know, other than the quite substantial debt that you accrue during this time studying, that it will then propel you on to more successful management positions and higher paying roles in the future. As a 17-year-old, I remember thinking of it as being quite daunting to be presented with this two distinct pathways, and and the choice that you have to make. Yeah, it's a time in your life that you're still trying to figure out what makes you tick and what you find interesting, and who you get along with, and it's you're being asked to make a choice in your life that can have the ability to steer you down direction that you might look back on, and it's the right one or it's the wrong one. As a teenager growing up in a small town, you are naturally limited to the people and the environment surrounding you. This is often steered towards pathways that are tried and true and safe and predictable. It's the mindset of A to B to C. This is how your career should go, and breaking out of that mold, pursuing your passions from an early age, is something quite difficult to do in a small town, especially quite a conservative town. If there aren't people who have spent time pursuing their own passions and forging their own paths, venturing out of their own nests, so to speak, there isn't an there isn't often a obvious pathway for a teenager to single-handedly pursue their passions and to strive to be the best in a particular field or industry. But every now and then there's an individual who not necessarily goes against the grain, but they don't have the fear to to operate with a different mindset. There's another mindset, one that has no limitations, no boundaries, and an attitude of why not me instead of why me. These people are the ones who make ripples away from their own ponds, in the larger ocean, so to speak. It's about having the courage to pursue a passion as far as it can go, and about not having the fear to pivot when circumstances, uh, you know, when new circumstances are put on the table. It's about having the humility and the awareness to adjust your direction, and it's about having the awareness to know when there are obvious signs in front of you that things aren't working out the way that they should be. uh, it's also about having the knowledge to know that things aren't final, that if you stumble and fall, that it's not viewed as a failure, and it's viewed as a step in the right direction on more of a holistic level. At the time, you probably won't look at it this way, but um, it could be in hindsight one of the best things to happen to you. Um, I remember being a fresh faced 18-year-old, moving to Sydney to pursue a fine dining culinary career in what was Australia's best restaurant at the time, Key, right on the waterfront at the harbour. An incredible dining room overlooking the Sydney Opera House and the Harbour Bridge, and I remember moving over there one day after my last level 3 exam. I wanted to get out of the environment that I was growing up in, just to spread my wings a bit. I viewed Australia as being the big smoke, so to speak. You know, so I moved over there, packed my bags, moved over there a day after my last exam, and started hustling away in this fine dining kitchen with 25 other chefs, and it was quite high paced and high pressure. And I remember being over there for about a month, and I what felt like my 20th 18-hour day in a row. I remember just sitting there deflated, and thinking, like this is not for me. This is not the way it has played out in my head. And now up until then, I was quite single-handedly focused on this as being my career. And when you come to the realization that something is not the way that it should be, or it's not the way that it played out in your head, you don't really have any other perspective. So you think that your own world is crashing down around you. You're still quite immature at that age, so you don't realize that the world goes on, regardless of how you feel at the time. And I ended up coming back home, to Invercargill, and it was the first time that I'd really been left by myself in the real world, and I got a real understanding of the choices that you make and the subsequent consequences that that one choice can lead to, both in a positive light and in negative light. However, like with the benefit of hindsight, the months spent over in Sydney and coming back to New Zealand, and having the humility to realize that, hey, this is not for me. This is not what I signed up for. This is not the path that I wanted to go down, is actually like probably the most important thing that's happened to me in my short career so far. Coming back to Southland with my own tail between my legs. At the time, I didn't know it, but I felt like the world didn't really make much sense anymore. It was like removing a band-aid quickly. At the time, it hurt quite a lot, but you soon find yourself being okay, and things move on around you. And this is what happened to me. I felt, in a relative sense of the word, that I didn't have anything to lose, and it was a truly fresh start for me to really um, explore what I wanted to do. And there was a sense of freedom in the notion that I didn't have an idea of what was going to happen tomorrow, what was going to happen next week, and what was going to happen next year. But I thought, like, hey, I'll take a minute here and take a minute to work out what really makes me tick, and what I want to spend this life working towards, and the people who I want to surround myself with. You come back from something like that didn't work out, whatever it was, and your mind is quite scrambled. So I remember thinking that, um, just to spend some time to reevaluate my own understanding of who I was. So in January, not long after being back, I was holidaying with my family up in Arrowtown, and I told my parents that I was going on a bus trip to Christchurch, and I ended up spending like a month hitchhiking around the South Island. I ended up circumnavigating the island and met some quite amazing people. Saw some amazing sights, and it sort of opened my eyes to, like, because up until then I was busy busy looking abroad. To there was, you got to move overseas to be successful and all this sort of stuff. And that time going around the South Island just made me realize what we had in our own backyard, and the beauty that was there, and the kind people that New Zealand has as well. It was it was a month well spent. There was some incredible places that I visited, but more importantly, it was, I got to spend some undistracted time in my own head, getting to know who I was, and that was 7 years ago. A lot has happened to me since to make me the person who I am today. I'm still evolving and improving and changing, and I think it's healthy and natural for people to do that. Um, that's partly what I'm going to use this space for, is to engage with the many interesting people that I've met during my short time, and that who have had an impact on my life so far. And I really feel that it's something positive that I have to share uninterrupted with the world. It's a space where I can venture into new thoughts, discuss vulnerabilities, yarn to mates, talk to role models, discuss topics that interest me with the relevant people who are at the top of the game in their respective field. Maybe this podcast is something that I'll look back on in a few years and think, what the hell were you doing? But if that's the case, then cool. I've never been someone to shy away from pursuing something I'm passionate about, and it's a project I've been looking at exploring for a while now. And life's too short to imagine what if. So, got some pretty cool guests coming on over the next few weeks. Really excited to share their stories, and someone who's had real experience in pursuing their own passion from an early age, someone who's not been afraid to think big when others around him have followed tried and true paths, is my good friend and talented motorsport driver, Brendan Leach. I caught up with him recently over Zoom, and I really hope you enjoy our chat.